Welcome back. For those of you that I haven't had the chance to meet, my name is Chris. I'm the lead pastor here at Hoboken Grace, and I am super excited to be back as we are this week bringing to a conclusion this conversation in real life. Now, before we dive into that, I want to first start with the fact that I know many of you have questions about what this fall is going to look like for us here at Hoboken Grace. And many of you have been asking, okay, what are the next steps? What does it look like as far as meeting in person? And it's been amazing to see how we've been able to grow and what we've seen happen online. But I know many of you who are locally here in Hoboken are wondering, okay, what are our next steps forward as a church? Here's the thing. Next week, we're going to be walking through that plan. Next week is our State of the Union. Not as it pertains to the nation in which we live, but our union as a family. We're going to be looking at what we've seen happen over the course of this past year, and we're going to be looking at how we're moving forward into the fall. We have some amazingly exciting things that we have planned for the next month, and registration for a lot of those things that's going to be going live next Sunday as we're in the midst of the conversation. So make sure that you're here with us. Wait till you see what God has allowed us to be able to do on the north end of Hoboken. I'm telling you, it's really exciting. I can't wait to be able to share it with you. So next week, invite someone to join you and be with us as we look towards the future. Before we get there, however, as I said, today we're wrapping up this conversation in real life. I mean, it's been an amazing journey over the past couple of weeks as we've been looking at these stories that Jesus shares with us in order for us to be able to see what we can't see, for us to be able to understand better how the world works, for us to be able to understand God better and the way that He relates to us, for us to be able to understand ourselves better and the way that we have related to God, or maybe the way that God is calling us in the future to relate to Him. And as we've walked through these stories, we've learned so much, and even in conversations with different individuals, I've seen the growth that's taken place over the course of the past few weeks. And as we come together today, I want to look at one last story. These incredible stories that Jesus shares with us. One last parable. It's definitely one of the most famous stories that Jesus ever tells. And this story is packed. It's packed with Jesus reshaping the way that we think about God, the way that we think about ourselves. Now, I want to share with you from the beginning. We're going to be looking at this from a very different perspective than most of us ever have. As a matter of fact, it was as we've been working through the last couple of weeks that I encountered this parable again and saw something in it that to be honest, I may have noticed before, but I didn't understand just how significant it was. And so I want to share it with you. As I said, it's a very famous story. It's a very famous parable. It's called the prodigal son. It's the story of the prodigal son. Now here's the thing. Many of you are familiar with this story, and you know that the story is about two boys, two sons, if you will, and the way in which they experience life. The first son is the one who dominates most of the story because he goes to his father and basically says to his father, "I wish you were dead," because he goes to his father and he demands his inheritance. He's saying to him, "Listen, I'm not waiting around for you to die. I would like what I'm entitled to," which is interesting that he so thought that he was entitled to this. "I want what I'm entitled to now." And his dad actually says, "Okay." And even though he is phenomenally disrespected in this moment, he says, "Okay." And he gives him his share of the inheritance. And as the story continues, as Jesus is sharing the story, you see that this son, well, he takes that inheritance and he blows it. I mean, he lives life full tilt until it's gone. And he actually finds himself in a situation where he's now working on a farm, and he's so hungry, he's so broke that the food that he's using to feed the animals actually looks appetizing to him. And believe me, I grew up on a farm. I'm telling you, it's not appetizing in any way, shape, or form. But he's so at the end of himself that even that looks appetizing to him. And he comes to the point where he realizes, what am I doing? I mean, what am I doing? I'm just going to go back to my dad and basically beg him to just be a servant, because my dad's servants have it better than this. Not just my dad's sons, my dad's servants have it better than this. I'm just going to go back and beg for mercy, and perhaps, maybe, just maybe, he'll take me back. So he goes home. I would think the entire way, dreading that conversation. But as he arrives home, it's a powerful moment because his father loses it. Not in a negative way. His father loses it in a positive way. And his dad runs out and throws his arms around him and he celebrates his son and what's happened and the fact that his son is home, and he throws this huge party. And in this moment, you learn so much. You learn so much about who God is and what God's about. And Jesus, again, is reshaping the way that we think about our Father, because you see his grace. He says, no, God's like this. And even when you've completely disrespected him, and even when you've blown it, he's ready to welcome you home. He's willing to celebrate your return. And as you read through the story, you see one, our brokenness, because ultimately we are that prodigal son who's disrespected God, our Father, and yet we've been welcomed home, brought back into the family. But that's not where the story ends. It's often where we stop telling the story, but it's not actually where the story ends. You see the father throw the party, but this isn't a story. This isn't a story just about one son. This is a story about two sons. And Jesus keeps telling the story. We typically stop. Jesus didn't. He kept telling the story because he felt there was more for us to understand, more for us to learn. And here's the thing, as you're reading through Jesus' parables, there are no insignificant characters. One of the great wisdom of Jesus' parables is that inside them, each character is essential, and each character is trying to help us to understand something about ourselves or something about God, something about the world around us. And so as Jesus continues, it's important that we see the rest of the story. So let me share it with you now. Listen to how Jesus continued the story. It says, meanwhile, the older son was in the field. This is his older brother, which is a whole dynamic unto itself. When he came near the house, he heard music and dancing, so he called one of the servants and asked him what was going on. So this is not a small party. If you're wondering how big this party was, he's out in the fields, and as he gets closer, he hears it. I mean, this is a huge party. So he asked the servant, what in the world is happening? What's going on? Listen what it says. It says, your brother has come. Your brother's come home. Aren't you so excited? Your brother's come home. And your father has killed the fattened calf because he has him back safe and sound. Now, at this point, if you have siblings, you know there's one of two ways this is going to go. There's one of two ways that this is going to go. Either he's going to be really excited that his brother's home, or he's going to be mad. In this story, it's the second. The older brother became angry and refused to go in, so his father went in and pleaded with him, or went out and pleaded with him. But he answered his father, "Look, all these years I've been slaving for you and never disobeyed your orders, yet you never gave me even a young goat so I could celebrate with my friends. But when this son of yours, who has squandered your property with prostitutes, comes home, you kill the fatted calf for him." He says, "Are you serious?" This guy goes out and blows it all. And I've been working here for you this whole time. And he says, "I didn't get from you what you're giving to him." And rather than celebrating his brother coming home, he's furious. He's furious. And you see in this moment that he didn't believe in forgiveness. He didn't believe in forgiveness. I think some of us think that we believe in forgiveness, but what we actually believe in is merit. We believe that you should be able to earn your forgiveness. And we believe that there are those who have earned forgiveness and those who haven't. That's not the way that God talks about forgiveness. And this son, he believed in merit, and so he's furious because he doesn't believe that his brothers earned it, but he's earned it. And then you hear the father's response. And this is really where I want to settle in. Because there's so much that we could learn from this. The way that we initially respond to God, how we take from God. All of us live in the goodness of God. All of us have taken the inheritance that is ours, claimed it as ours, even though it's been given to us by Him. We've squandered it. We've wasted it. For every one of us, we're welcome back home. And there's so many different principles. The principle of forgiveness, and do you believe in forgiveness? There's so much there, but what I want to focus in on more than anything else is the father's response. Because listen to what he says. It says, "My son," the father said, "you are always with me, and everything I have is yours. But we had to celebrate and be glad because this brother of yours was dead and is alive again. He was lost and is found." He was lost and is found. Let me just go back to the beginning of this really quickly. He says, "You are always with me, and everything I have is yours." And in this moment, you realize something powerful, and that is this. Because the older son comes and says, "Wait a second, I've been working and working and working, and you never gave me anything, and I've been working and I haven't gotten, and now you give to him." And you realize something about both sons, and that is this. Both sons were most concerned about what they were going to get from their father. And in the process, listen. In the process, they both missed the most valuable part of the story. Because they both missed their dad. They both, rather than actually valuing experiencing the dad that they had, they both lived for what they could get from him. And one did it through demanding his inheritance, the other did it by working to earn that honor and favor, working for what it was that he was going to get. And the entire time he missed the fact that his dad was right there with him. And his dad says, everything I have is yours. He says, no, wait. Everything I have is yours. You don't have to earn it from me. Don't you realize you don't have to feel like you have to do something in order for me to give to you? Let me ask you, how amazing is it to be loved like that? To be loved in such a way where you can completely blow it and you're still loved. To be loved where you don't have to earn it. How amazing is it to be loved like that? And yet, they missed it. Both of them missed the most valuable thing. Listen, right now, what we're going through is really hard. And as we look towards the fall and what's ahead in the coming months, the reality is that what we're going through, it's exhausting, it's frustrating, it's confusing. And here's the thing. You need your dad. You need your dad. And before we go any further, because I know some of you are watching and you're thinking, yeah, you're right, I need to. No, stop. Don't go into the I need to, I should have, stop. Listen to me. When my boys are going through something difficult, especially as they're going through it for the first time, I don't expect them to get it right. I don't look at it and say, man, you should be able to crush this. No, I don't. I understand, well, you've never seen this. You've never gone through this. And here's the thing. I'm willing to bet that most of you haven't gone through a pandemic before. Just a guess, I'm betting you haven't. And on top of that, all of the rest of what's happening in our lives, you haven't gone through it before. And I think it's a massive lie when we begin to believe that, well, God is our dad is stepping in and saying, man, you better get this right. And even when I say you need your dad, you're thinking, well, have I or what haven't I done? Stop. Don't worry about what has been. Don't worry about whether or not you're going to be able to. No. All right now. You need your dad. And here's the thing. It's okay to be tired. It's okay. It's okay to struggle. It's okay. It's okay to be overwhelmed. It's okay. It's okay to be excited 1 minute and be confused the next. People keep asking me, how are you doing, Chris? How are you doing? I said, well, it just depends on which 5-minute stretch you ask me, to be honest with you, because it's this crazy roller coaster. And listen to me, that's okay. It's okay. Because you see, you have a dad And all that is his is yours. But more importantly than that, listen, come here. Listen. He's yours. He's yours. And you get to experience a dad like that. You look at the story and you see someone who loves even when you've blown it. You see someone who says, you don't have to earn it. All that I have is yours. And I'm always with you. You see that. How amazing is it to be loved like that? Let me tell you something. You are loved like that. You are loved like that. How incredible is that? And for those of you who think that, well, I've got to get it together, let me tell you something. He's waiting for you. For those of you who think, man, I've got to earn it, I've got to get it all. Stop. He's waiting for you. Don't worry about whether or not you have gotten it right. Don't worry about whether or not you're going to be able to continue to get it right. What I'm asking you to do as we come to the end of this conversation, what I'm asking you to do is right now, today, experience your dad. Because you know what I know? For every single one of you, you know what I know? You need your dad. And for some of you, this may be the first time you've ever experienced him because you've done that. You've gone your own way and you've said, you know what, I'm going to do this my way. I'm going to do this alone. And you've disrespected him. You've wanted nothing to do with him. Let me tell you something. He's ready and he's welcoming you home. If you just turn to him, come to him and say, listen, I want to be yours. I want to be adopted by you. I want to be brought back into your family. He's ready. He's willing. He's excited to welcome you home. And for those of you who are working so hard for God, working so hard to be moral and get it right, and you're working out there in that field and you're going to earn it. Don't miss your dad. It's good to work hard for our dad, but not if it means that we miss that he's been with us through the whole thing. Not if it means we wake up one day and realize that we missed the most valuable thing in the story. Take the time today to experience your dad. Right now, we're in the midst of a storm. We're in the midst of a storm, and my boys are getting older now. But even as they're growing up, still, if there's an intense storm that rolls through and that thunder hits, immediately they come running, and we'll make our way to the window and we'll watch the lightning come in. And they're okay sitting there and watching that as long as we're together as a family. I love those moments. My boys wrap their arms around my leg and we walk through the storm together. Right now we're in the middle of a storm. Listen to me. Listen. The storm will end. I know right now we're wondering when, how. Listen, the storm will end. The storm will end. Right now, what we need most is to wrap our arms around our dad and walk through it with him. Understanding that he is always with us and everything he has is ours. So today, as we read this story, as we look at this story that so captures the Father that we have, may we recognize the most valuable thing in the story. May we recognize just how amazing our dad is. In the midst of the storm, may we run to him. May we experience him. And may his love comfort us as we continue to move through the storm. Father, we are so incredibly grateful. Not just that you are who you are, but that you have revealed yourself to us, and you have worked so tirelessly for us to know you, for us to know how you operate, for us to know your incredible love, for us to know your incredible grace, for us to know the reality that you are with us. You have always been with us, and everything that you have is ours. Not because we earn it, not because, and here's, Father, thank you so much that it's not what you have that's valuable, but you. And that we get to know that, we get to experience that. Father, honestly, I look forward to when the storm's over. But I am so incredibly, phenomenally grateful that we don't have to ride it out alone. That we get to ride it out with you. In Jesus' name, amen.